the 5-step process to get more listings from your market appraisals. Today I'm joined by Suzanna Mavati and Brian Farrell from Acaboom to talk about why they believe you will win or lose the valuation both before and after the valuation itself. Talk to me about the 5 steps. What's number 1?
Number 1 is before the market appraisal. And it's a big one because 84% of agents do very little with this. So there's another stat for you. The most common thing for an agent to do before an appraisal is probably use their CRM to send an email just confirming the meeting. That's your standard. Of course, it should be about elevating your brand and the person they're going to meet at this stage. Again, coming back to storytelling, making sure that we are warming them up, if you like, towards the person they're going to meet to break down the barriers ready for the meeting and making sure they understand why you are the brand of choice.
And again, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, this video is talking about the Acaboom platform. I must stress to you that Acaboom, Brian or Suzanna, have not paid me anything to be here, but we've been going through some various different topics about the valuation process, and I wanted to talk about the product itself. I am a massive fan of it. I've not been paid to say that. Yeah, and I wanted to share with you why it's so brilliant and why so many agents use it. So in the Acaboom process, the pre-appraisal communications is all about sending an email with videos and data, isn't it?
Not just an email, Chris. It gets delivered by email and text message.
Well, texts are more likely to be opened.
Exactly. 89% open rate in just 2 hours. So it makes a big difference. So getting mobile numbers when you book the appraisal is key so that you can deliver it via 2 methods, not just 1. But the concept of what's in there, it's bespoke for each agent. It comes back to mapping out what your unique selling messages are and what we want to get across before we get there to really make them.
And it's warming up the lead, and you're less likely to have the free val cancel, aren't you?
They're less likely to cancel, they're more likely to instruct, but also that key message I hear from clients that do this well over and over again is they get to the appraisal and it's like a second meeting. They've met that client before, because I think you've got some numbers there about people meeting on video as in person. It's very similar to the human brain, if you like. So they do feel like they've met you before if you can put across a strong introduction.
I think when we're talking about the pre-appointments, there is a tendency for many. The most important thing is the valuer, introducing people to people, getting the valuer across as being a nice person, putting them on a bit of a pedestal.
The brand as well, though, I have to say.
But they've got the appointment in the diary already.
Yeah.
So you don't need to hard sell and bang the drum.
No.
I think what you can do is be helpful. In advance of our meeting, are there any questions that you would like us to tackle specifically? Do you need mortgage advice? Do you want conveyancing? I mean, those are lead generation things if you want them to get involved in the survey side of things. But I think you can be saying, when it comes to marketing your property, percolated coffee, baking bread, clean windows, tidy house.
Giving them some value.
Giving them some useful information in advance. What to expect on the day. We'll be there for about an hour. We'll probably look to walk around the property, then we'll sit down. I take milk and 2 sugars, please. I mean, if you want to go down that road and be a bit cheeky, if that's your thing. But it's not the moment to bang the drum that you're the best thing since sliced bread is the next stage. You're already in the diary. You can do it subtly. You might say, how tips for choosing an estate agent, and obviously
questions that you can ask an estate agent.
Exactly.
Good stuff. Let's move on to number 2, the actual market appraisal itself.
At the appraisal, every valuer's favourite bit, and this is where they tend to put all their eggs in one basket.
Too much emphasis is on this bit,
Absolutely. If you go through a mystery shop agents, you'll find that they've put all the weight into winning it at this stage of the journey.
And surely it's what you do before and after that's the most important.
Well, not necessarily the most important, but as
important. Okay.
As important. The pitch is still very important. It's when you're going to build that rapport, that relationship that typically valuers like doing. But it's also the point here where I see so many of them fall shy of showing visuals, playing examples, having the right tools with them, walking in with the same report as the next agent that walks through the door.
Indeed, a spriff report or something. And again, do check out the videos on my YouTube channel we've been talking about visuals and videos and the power of data.
Absolutely.
Okay, but then you've got the next section of actually pitching the proposal itself, and that's where again a lot of agents become disjointed. What can Acaboom do on that?
So after a market appraisal, 91% of agents will send a standard valuation letter.
Yes.
Now, it's funny, we call it a letter. It's not anymore. It's an email, but it's often a PDF type letter attached to an email or something generated from a CRM. It's usually text based, doesn't usually have any visuals in it, and really
Boring is the word.
well,
you're
what we
looking
could, well, I don't, I'm saying it's very normal. But what will happen is when the vendor gets it, they'll scan it, look for the fee, look for the valuation, and that's about it. Now, what we really want to do is turn that on its head into back why they should instruct that agent and not expect them to remember anything or something that happened days, weeks, even months ago. 32% of clients take longer than a month to instruct.
Oh.
So are we really seriously thinking they had 3 valuations? They're going to remember everything you said
No, they're not.
a month ago. This proposal needs to re-deliver those key selling messages. It needs to be about the client. It needs to be personalised. Ideally, it can have visuals and video in it. But most importantly, reignite that spark of why you are the brand of choice.
And if if all the, I'm going to say both decision makers, but there might be more than 2, if all the decision makers were not there on the day,
Absolutely.
you've only spoken to one person. You're relying on that one person to communicate all of the good things that hopefully you've
don't.
got
They don't.
across
No one
and
does.
remembered them and communicated them. So
And that's why
Visuals.
that's why I
apart.
like the proposal that you do. And if we move on to the next section,
Well, actually, can I just add one more small
on
thing
then.
in there?
Go on
Sorry, because this is about getting the signature, winning the instruction. The proposal should be a legal document for them to sign. What most agents do is they wait for the client to say, yes, I want to proceed. Then they send a contract. So literally, if that vendor is round the dining room table that evening and thinks, yes, we want to instruct them, they've got to wait for them to open the next day to tell them and then wait for paperwork to come
and
through.
the property might be nicked by the other agent.
Exactly, we're leaving ourselves exposed, yet it's what nearly every agent does. So really, we need to speed that process up and really modernise it with technology.
Okay, so let's go on to the next section, which is my favourite.
Oh, I know. It's the valuer's favourite as well, this section.
The wonderful thing about the Acaboom, let's say, I must stress to you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not being paid to say this, is that
I might buy him a pint though, but you know.
you can buy me a pint. Okay, that's fine. But the thing is, though, the problem with the letter is you don't know when they're reading it. But the wonderful thing about the Acaboom platform is that you can see what they're looking at, how long they're spending at it, and basically, I think the platform then gives it marks out of 10 or something. And I'm not being strict, but you know what I mean.
Lead scoring is what we're referring to there. But essentially, the next section is about, we call it follow-ups. It's notifications in a smart fashion. So it tells the agent when a client is interacting with them. They're checking their price, they're looking at the terms and conditions again, they're revisiting the comparables you showed them.
And it comes up on the valuer's phone, doesn't it?
Well, we operate Acaboom both on a desktop version and a mobile app. If you're like me, surgically attached to my mobile, it's great to have the app with you because even if you're out and about between appointments, you can see in real time who's opening what. If you need to change a fee or anything, you can do it live in the application that updates the contract waiting to be signed. There's so many advantages.
Again, massive fan of that. But what I also like, and this is the final one, is the nurture journey where you actually drip feed stuff through to them.
Absolutely. And again, to revisit that stat, a big stat that most agents, well, let's just say most agents don't have nurturing. Actually, it's very typical. They're frightened of writing content. They don't know how to put it together. And 32% of vendors take longer than a month to instruct an agent. And most agents do nothing with that. So it's a huge opportunity. I just want to highlight what a big opportunity it is. So nurturing, let's talk about it as a subject. It's not about selling. It's about keeping them with your brand at front of mind. So rather than keep banging the drum saying, let me sell your house, you want to send them informative content to keep them engaged.
The sort of content that you put together.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
What's happening on the local market, it should not be the agent saying we've had our best sales month ever and we're the best thing since sliced bread.
Exactly. And the reason for that is you will get unsubscribes. I mean, our subscription rate, it varies really about 96%.
In the mid-90s now.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's people
Over a year.
that stay subscribed to the platform because it's interesting content. To put that into perspective, that's like if the vendor does instruct a competitor, how dare they? But if they did, we don't want them thinking, oh, I don't need them and unsubscribing. Whereas if we're sending interesting content, they will stay engaged. And we all know we want that instruction.
We've had some feedback from agents that have said we were in contact with the lost instruction more than the agent that had won it through the nurturing programs with more interesting content.
And final thing, this is why you set up Acaboom, because I know you were an agent and you went to technology and you actually realised that there wasn't something that could help estate agents on their market appraisal journey. That's it in a nutshell, isn't it?
It is. Long story short, was in agency, went into IT sales, They did presentations and visuals, and I saw how effective that was in pitching in the world that we were pitching in. I had 3 valuations on my property, and I was probably best placed to choose an agent because I knew the agencies, because I knew the industry. I picked 3 good agents.
So you were an ex-agent, so you were
Now on the other side of the fence, had 3 agents come round, and it was really interesting because I was surprised at 3 things. One, how none of them pitched hard to me and said, we are better because. None of them did that, none. And I thought, well, I probably didn't do that either. I was a little bit bemused by the price variation, and I thought it's a standard 3-bedroom house. How come they can't value it more closely together? And I could have done with some science to justify how they'd arrived at the figures they were arriving at. And the third thing was how I forgot what they'd said 3 days later. A week later, when I went to instruct, it was all about the fees, because that was the only point of differentiation. And a penny dropped, and I thought, the reason I'm going for fees is because none of the valuers, and me included in my day, were getting across the key reasons to use them over their competitors.
and that's where you came up
And
with
Acaboom was born.
And the embryonic idea was there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a massive fan of Acaboom. As I said, I must stress to you, I've had no payment nor any consideration, although you are kindly going to buy me a pint next time. The reason I've done this video is that anything I see and I like the look of, and more importantly, my clients love, I want to highlight it. I have done other videos where we don't talk about Acaboom at all, but I just wanted to give the opportunity to Brian and Suzanna to talk about the product, and please do check it out. Don't mention my name because I said don't get any kickbacks, but when I see something I like, and there's not many prop tech solutions out there I do like, no, not many I do love, Acaboom is one. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Chris.
Very kind.
Thanks.
Thank you.